sometimes the quiet is the detail that stays. Not the alarms, not the bright lights, just the empty space where someone should have been. Emily Turner is a senior operations manager, the kind of person who fixes problems for a living and keeps things moving when everyone else stalls. What happened to her matters because it did not break loudly. It broke politely. In a place where love is supposed to show up, here is where she begins. The first thing I noticed was my mouth, dry like sand. My throat burned when I tried to swallow, and my ribs felt taped together from the inside, tight and unforgiving. There was a chair close to the bed. Noah was in it, leaning forward with his hands clasped, eyes fixed on me like he'd been holding his breath for hours. "You're awake," he said, barely louder than the machines. I tried to lift my hand. It barely moved. He stood quickly, slid his palm under mine, steadying it like he'd practiced. "Isabel," I whispered. My voice came out thin, scraped raw. He nodded once. "She's here. She's small, but she's strong. She's in the neonatal unit." Relief hit first, then the fear caught up. My chest tightened, pain blooming under the bandages. "My mom," I said. The words came out automatically, like a checklist item I'd missed. Noah's jaw shifted. He glanced at the door, then back at me. "She didn't come." I stared at the ceiling tile above me. One corner was chipped, the paint curling slightly, like a flaw no one had bothered to fix. "She knows," I murmured. It sounded less like a question and more like an assumption. "She knows." My eyes burned. I felt it before I understood it. The old reflex. Find the failure point. "I'm sorry," I said. Noah straightened. "No, don't. I should have planned better," I added quietly. "I should have accounted for more margin." His voice stayed calm, but firm. "You got hit by a truck in the rain. That's not a planning error." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, holding it low, like it carried weight. "When I called her," he continued, "she answered. There were slot machines behind her. The room went still around us. She told me you always land on your feet," he said. Then she hung up. I closed my eyes, not to shut it out, but to log it. Another data point. Another leak I hadn't wanted to see. I remember the first paycheck because I checked my balance 3 times, just to make sure it was real. I was standing in my kitchen, badge still clipped to my belt, shoes kicked off, noodles cooling untouched on the counter. The phone rang while I was staring at the number. "Emily," my mother's voice came tight, already shaking. "I didn't want to call you this late." I leaned against the counter. "What's wrong?" "It's your father." His back went out again. "He couldn't get out of bed this morning." She paused, then added, "The bank sent another notice. They gave us until the end of the week." The words landed heavy, specific. "They're adding fees now," she continued. "If we miss this one, it escalates. I don't know how we're supposed to catch up." I rubbed my forehead, trying to picture the numbers. "How much are we short?" "I hate asking you this." She rushed. "You just started working. I should never put this on you." "She said $600 a month." "Maybe 9, she added quickly, "just until the back healed, just until things stabilized." "I can cover that," I heard myself say. Her breath came out in a rush. "Thank you. You're saving us." Then, softer, more careful. "Just don't tell your father. He already feels like a burden. This would destroy him." That night, I set up the transfer at my desk, laptop balanced on a stack of unopened mail. The bank page asked if I wanted it recurring. I hesitated, then clicked yes. 3 days later, she called again, not to check on me. "This is what daughters do," she said, like it was a rule I should have known. At work the next morning, my manager stopped by my desk. "Settling in?" "Okay." I smiled. "Yeah, just handling some things." I didn't think of the transfer as a sacrifice. It felt like maintenance. A small fix to keep everything running. The transfers didn't jump overnight. They crept. 600 became 9. 9 turned into 18 when my title changed, and my hours did too. By year 3, it was closer to 2,000 a month, sometimes more if something came up. My mother stayed very organized about it. She sent pictures, a prescription bottle on the kitchen table, a hospital bill with my father's name visible, the rest folded under. Once, a photo of the roof with a dark stain spreading near the gutter. The leak's worse than we thought, she told me. Your father's stressing himself sick. I forwarded the money from my phone during a meeting break, my thumb moving without thought. Brielle started showing up in pictures too. Not sent to me, posted, new jacket, weekend away, a coffee cup with foam art shaped like a heart. She's finally finding herself. My mother said when I mentioned it once. You know how fragile she is. At home. Noah noticed before I did. He stood behind me one night while I logged into my bank account, his chin near my shoulder. That's a lot, he murmured. It's temporary. That's what you said last year. I closed the laptop. They need help. He nodded, but his mouth stayed tight. Does she ever call you just to check in? The question landed heavier than it should have. I shrugged. Too quick. She's busy. Noah didn't push. He just kissed the top of my head and let it sit there, the way you let a warning light blink when the system still technically runs. The call came on a Tuesday evening while I was folding laundry. Socks in one pile, work shirts in another. The phone buzzed against the dryer, rattling just enough to be annoying. Emily Turner. There was a pause, then a voice I hadn't heard in a while. It's Walter, your grandfather. I leaned against the machine and closed my eyes for a second. Hi. This is a surprise. I know. He sounded careful, like he was choosing each word. I won't keep you long. The dryer hummed behind me. I pulled a warm towel free and folded it once. Twice. I wanted to check in, he said. Your mother tells me you're always busy. I smiled without thinking. Work's been heavy. Yes, he replied. Another pause. And she treats you well. It wasn't phrased like a question, but my chest tightened anyway. She's fine, I said. They're both fine. Walter exhaled slowly. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I waited for him to say more. He didn't. Instead, he cleared his throat. If anything ever feels off, he added, quieter now. You call me, even if it seems small. I nodded, even though he couldn't see it. I will. After we hung up, I stood there longer than I meant to, holding the towel. The dryer clicked off on its own. I finished the laundry. I didn't call him back. The pregnancy test sat on the bathroom counter while I brushed my teeth, like it was waiting to be acknowledged. 2 lines, clear, no room for interpretation. I told Noah that night, holding it out to him like proof of something fragile. He stared for a second, then laughed, then pulled me into a hug so tight my ribs ached. After that, everything shifted. Not dramatically, just enough. I started doing math I'd avoided for years, not all at once. In pieces, monthly transfers, then the one-offs, the roof, the car, the medical emergencies that never seemed to end. I wrote the numbers down on a legal pad, my handwriting getting smaller as I went. It added up faster than I expected. When I called my mother, my voice sounded steady, practiced. I need to talk about the money, I told her. With the baby coming, Noah and I need to adjust. I was thinking of lowering it for a while. Silence stretched on the line. Lower it, she repeated, carefully. After everything your father's dealing with, I'm not stopping, I said, just reducing. She sighed, long and wounded. Brielle's been barely holding it together. You know how sensitive she is. I'm pregnant, I said. The words felt strange out loud. Yes, she replied quickly. And I'm happy for you. Of course I am. But you have support. She doesn't. In the background, I heard my father's voice. Faint. Maybe we shouldn't, Frank. My mother snapped, sharp enough to cut. Then, softer. Back to me. You understand how much pressure we're under. I pressed my thumb into the paper until it left a dent. I need to think. I said, That's all I'm asking. She replied, Just think about the family. I hung up and stared at the list. The numbers didn't move, no matter how long I looked at them. The rain had been steady all evening, not dramatic, just enough to make everything slick. I left work late, moved into the right lane, eased off the accelerator. I was already under the limit, both hands on the wheel, headlights low. Noah had texted earlier, drive safe. I sent back a heart at the red light and waited for it to turn. When it did, I went through slowly. Green. Clear. Routine. The truck came out of nowhere. 1 second the intersection was empty. The next it filled my windshield. Too fast. Too close. Later they would tell me it blew the light. Came through from my left. Straight out of a blind spot I couldn't have covered without stopping in the middle of the road. The sound hit first. Metal collapsing. Then pressure, crushing and sharp, driving the air out of me. My chest burned. The wheel slammed back harder than it should have. Glass burst across my lap. I tried to break out of instinct, but the car was already spinning. Someone shouted. I tasted blood. My hands moved to my stomach without asking permission. Still round. Still there. A flashlight cut through the rain. A voice close to my ear. Stay with me. Don't move. Another voice. Farther back. She was driving slow. She couldn't have avoided that. I wanted to answer. To say I saw the green. To say I wasn't rushing. The words wouldn't line up. As they lifted me, rain dripping off the stretcher rails, I caught one last look at the intersection. The light behind us was still green, steady and useless. Then the dark closed in. I came back slowly, not all at once. Sound first, then wait. The monitor beeped somewhere to my left. My chest felt wrapped tight. Every breath shallow and sharp. My mouth tasted like metal. Noah was there. Same chair. Same hunched posture, like he hadn't moved much. You're awake, he said, careful, like the word might scare me back under. I tried to nod. It barely registered. How long? I asked. The words scraped out wrong. 2 days. He leaned closer. Isabel's holding steady. Relief came. Thin, but real. He didn't rush into it. He waited until my breathing slowed again. When I called your mom that night, he said, low. She answered from a casino. I could hear the machines. My eyes burned, but I kept them open. She said she couldn't come. Said Brielle needed her. Then she hung up. I swallowed. My chest protested. There's more, he added. After the call ended, she said something. She didn't know I was still there. I watched his face tighten. She said you always land on your feet. The sentence settled deep, not sharp, familiar, like something I'd been carrying without naming. Can you hold my phone? I said. My right hand trembled when I tried to lift it. My vision blurred. Edges soft from medication. Noah slid the phone into my palm and kept his hand there to steady it. The screen didn't recognize me the first time. Or the second. Try again, he murmured. On the third attempt, it opened. The bank app loaded slow. Transfers lined up, clean and loyal. Read it to me. I whispered. He did. Each amount. Each date. Cancel them, I said. My thumb shook as I pressed confirm. The button blurred. Noah adjusted the phone until it clicked, one by one. They disappeared. I exhaled, shallow but steady. That's it, I said. Shut it down. No speeches. No warnings. Just a system taken offline before it finished killing me. Walter came to see me on the 4th day, after they'd moved me to a quieter room. He didn't rush in. He stood near the window first, hands in his coat pockets, watching the rain slide down the glass. "You look more like yourself," he said. "I feel less broken." I replied, "It wasn't a joke, just a status update." He pulled a chair closer and sat. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "Frank called me," he said finally. "Not your mother." That got my attention. He sounded small. Walter continued, like someone who'd been carrying something too long. He reached into his bag and placed a thin notebook on the tray table. The edges were worn soft, the cover creased from being opened and closed too many times. "He's been writing things down," Walter said. "Not to catch her, to count himself." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Walter leaned back slightly. "Your father believed he was the problem, that his illness, his back, his prescriptions were draining you dry. He started keeping track because he wanted to know how much he owed you." The words settled heavy in my chest. He thought if he could see the number. Walter went on. He could find a way to make it right, or at least understand the damage. I stared at the notebook. Frank's careful handwriting flashed in my mind. The way he always double-checked receipts. He never spoke up. I said. Walter nodded. Silence felt safer than confrontation. Until it wasn't. He tapped the notebook once. "Your accident broke something in him." He realized his quiet wasn't protecting anyone. It was enabling her. "And the money," I said. "Brielle." Walter sighed. "Your mother moved funds to her, labeled them as expenses for Frank, medications, repairs, things no one questioned." I closed my eyes. "He gave me everything," Walter said. "This was him finally choosing you." I rested my hand on the notebook. It felt heavier than paper should. For the first time, Frank didn't feel like a shadow. He felt like a man who was late, but not gone. The house felt different once we were back. Not quieter, just no longer braced for impact. Isabel slept in the bassinet beside the couch, her breathing soft and uneven in that newborn way that makes you watch longer than you need to. Noah moved around the kitchen, careful with the cabinets, setting a mug near my hand without asking. He touched my shoulder once as he passed. Nothing more. My mother left a voicemail the next morning. Her voice was measured, almost formal. "I'd like to meet my granddaughter." I listened all the way through, then set the phone down. I didn't delete it. I didn't save it. Walter called later that afternoon. "The trust is finalized," he said. "Most of it is set aside for Isabel. It's protected. Untouchable." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. "Your father will receive a modest portion," he continued. "Enough to give him dignity. Not enough to be leveraged." "And my mother?" I asked. There was a pause. Not hesitation. Precision. "Support only," Walter said. "Food, utilities, medical care. All through a third-party administrator. No cash access. No discretionary spending. The same applies to Brielle. I pictured it instantly. A system with no loopholes. No room to perform. "She won't be able to move money," I said. "No," Walter replied. "And she won't be able to make anyone else do it for her." After we hung up, Noah looked at me. "How do you feel?" I watched Isabel's chest rise and fall. "Stable." Frank texted that night. Just a few words. "I'm sorry. I thought staying quiet was protecting you." I typed, erased, typed again. "I know. I'm glad you spoke." Days passed, then weeks. My ribs healed. The nights shortened. The bank app stayed still. No transfers. No emergencies. My mother tried once more. A longer message. Apologies layered carefully, like something rehearsed. I didn't respond. Not yet. I wasn't cutting her off. I was stepping back. There's a difference. For years, Emily Turner believed love meant absorbing damage so other people wouldn't have to. Now she understands it differently. Systems that only work when one person bleeds aren't broken by accident. They're built that way. Choosing peace wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. And for the first time, it held. Some stories don't need fixing. They need witnesses.